Welcome to the show. I know you guys are liking those giveaways, and this time it's going to be the best one yet. Are you ready for this giveaway? I want to invite you to join me for dinner at one of my favorite restaurants. That's right, dinner with the great Eldersky. You heard me right. Fine dining with yours truly. We can talk about anything you want, and I'll answer all your questions. Well, mostly all of your questions. It'll be a great time for sure. So hurry up and go to winlarry.com to sign up. I'm going to be announcing the winner live on February 22nd, so make sure to stay tuned. And last but not least, a big thank you to everybody who joined the giveaway for this mug. You better use it every single time you watch my show. Now let's get into today's show, shall we? A quarter of Democrats believe Joe Biden should be impeached. Democrats. And the majority of both Democrats and Republicans believe he ought not run in 2024. But trust me, if the man can still stand up on 2 feet, he will run. He's been running for president ever since he could spell the word president. Remember, he tried 3 times and finally made it only because Bernie Sanders won the Nevada caucuses and the party was scared that they might stumble into nominating a self-described Democrat socialist. Then they coalesced around Biden because they thought he was fairly innocuous, fairly moderate, not quote-unquote crazy like Trump, and of course, was a loyal and worshipful vice president to their beloved Barack Obama. They did not know that Biden would appear to clearly and frighteningly show mental decline, would govern in a more left-wing way than Bernie Sanders, would recommend that states shut down their governments over COVID, spend money that resulted in people being paid not to work, allow some 5 million illegal aliens to enter the country since the beginning of his presidency, with nearly 250,000 southern border illegal crossers last month alone, an all-time record. All because he reversed the allegedly racist Donald Trump border policies. The Dems did not expect to get 40-year high levels of inflation, a doubling of gasoline prices, an increase in violent crime and attacks against the police in our major cities as a result of his and his party's anti-cop rhetoric and the soft-on-crime policies promoted by Democrat officials and DAs who think criminals are victims of society rather than bad people who ought to do the time for their crimes. Democrats were okay with Biden withdrawing from Afghanistan, but not the way he did it, leaving Americans and Afghan supporters behind, $80 billion in military hardware, with a terrorist state and our allies unaware and caught flat-footed. A precipitous pullout that no doubt made Putin, China, and Iran more threatening and more aggressive. And speaking of Biden and foreign policy, that was Bob Gates, Obama's first Secretary of Defense. Democrats and the media have for the most part ignored any possible connection between Hunter Biden's business dealings and Joe Biden, and whether Joe Biden may have financially and illegally benefited from his son's dealings. And Democrats didn't expect and can't ignore that after attacking Donald Trump for having documents in his possession in Mar-a-Lago, allegedly in violation of the law, they can't ignore that Biden would be caught doing exactly the same thing. Especially embarrassing after Biden called Donald Trump irresponsible for having classified documents in his possession. There were documents found at the Biden-Penn think tank, a think tank that advocated closer relations with China, a country that gave the Biden Center tens of millions of dollars. Even some Democrats are calling for an investigation into the Biden-Penn Center.
Why can't we have a process to make sure that classified documents aren't removed from the executive branch, no matter who the president is, and that there is a process to make sure that no senator or congressman is removing these? Now, obviously, no one can defend having classified documents sitting at a Penn Center or a personal residence.
That was California Democrat Ro Khanna. There are documents in Biden's garage and in his home. And that may be just the tip of the Biden classified documents iceberg. Both Trump and Biden now face investigations by separate special counsels into their possession of classified documents. And since everybody knows the Biden special counsel will not recommend a criminal indictment against Biden, Trump is now likely off the hook for his possession of classified documents. So the weapon they intended to use against Trump now has to be holstered. Awkward. And speaking of awkward, documents have now been found at former Vice President Mike Pence's house. And about Biden's current poll numbers, The Hill, the publication that covers politics in D.C., recently wrote, quote, a Reuters poll shows that 40% of Americans approved of Biden's job performance. That was a point higher than last month's survey, but low enough to stir angst among Democrats regarding the 2024 reelection ahead of Biden's likely announcement that he intends to run again. But despite all of this, Democrat James Clyburn, who crucially supported Biden in 2016, right before the South Carolina primary, right after Bernie Sanders won the Nevada caucuses and briefly became the Democrat frontrunner, recently Clyburn said he's supporting Biden again in 2024.
I don't know. I hope he will announce to do so. I will leave it up to him as to what the timing ought to be. But I'm all in for President Biden. I think he's demonstrated in these 2 years, soon to be 2 years, that he is deserving of re-election. And I do believe he will be re-elected, irrespective of who the Republicans may put up.
Clyburn says he's all in. Now, Clyburn made that statement before the discovery of still more classified documents in Biden's possession.
When you found out that the FBI had located even more classified materials in Wilmington, which four-letter word did you use?
Oh, my goodness, Peter.
Can't say. President Biden is still intending to run for re-election in 2024, right?
I'll just repeat what the president said after the midterm election, which is he intends to run. I'm going to be very careful from here, as you know, because we are covered by the Hatch Act, and I'm not going to speak further to his process.
But hey, move along. Nothing to see here.
As you know, if you're serving in the Senate or as vice president or president, you literally get millions of documents coming through your office week in and week out. And as you get more senior and as the matters that you're handling are more important and occasionally more classified, the volume gets higher. So I do think this was inadvertent. The whole point of having a special counsel is to ensure that and to give the American people confidence in that. But frankly, Martha, I also don't think this is an issue that's keeping Americans up at night. I think they're worried about much more day-to-day things like inflation, prices at the pump, prescription drug prices. Our president's making real progress in our economy, in our place in the world, in reducing prescription drug prices, and in helping the average American family. And I have some confidence that because he is fully cooperating, we will get to the bottom of this.
Are the Biden administration's New Year's goals of tax and spend and turn a blind eye to inflation at odds with your goals of securing your savings? When you've finally had enough of the games government is playing with your savings and retirement, diversify into gold with Birch Gold. I know I'm tired of my money being impacted by stupid decisions by leaders in Washington. I bet you are too. For over 5,000 years, gold has withstood inflation, geopolitical turmoil, and stock market crashes. And here's the great news. You can still get it. In fact, you can own gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. Birch Gold makes it easy to convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in precious metals. Here's what you need to do. Just visit LarryForGold.com to claim your free info kit on gold. With almost 20 years experience converting IRAs and 401ks into precious metal IRAs, Birch Gold can help you protect yourself with gold today by visiting LarryForGold.com. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, thousands of happy customers, and countless 5-star reviews. So, secure your future with gold. Start today with a free info kit. There's zero obligation to make this request. Just visit LarryForGold.com. That's LarryForGold.com. So Americans cared about it when it was Trump. Now that it's Biden, they don't care that much. And if Biden can't or won't run in 2024, who's next person up? Harris, whose poll numbers are worse than Biden's? Mayor Pete, the incompetent and unqualified Secretary of Transportation? Gavin Newsom, the San Francisco left-wing loon who supports reparations and whose hometown is losing population while experiencing record homelessness and crime? Joining me to discuss all of this is Craig Bannister of CNS News. Craig, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, there are two polls, one done last week after the special counsel was appointed to look into Biden's documents, and one done after they appointed a special counsel to look into Trump's. What we see here, though, the interesting thing is 3 of 4 U.S. voters approve of looking into Biden's handling of these classified materials, and half of them strongly approve. Conversely, when the special counsel was appointed to look into Trump, only about half of voters approved of that. So there are a lot.
Craig, how do you explain that? I thought Trump was loathed by America. How do you explain that?
Well, my opinion is that first off, the the Biden evidence keep having one dump after another of classified documents, but perhaps the most telling was that when the special counsel was appointed to go get Trump, Rasmussen asked, and 61% of voters said they thought it was politically motivated, and
Wow.
and 44% of them strongly agreed that it was politically motivated. So there may be a different perception between Biden storing classified documents next to his Corvette Stingray and Trump accidentally having them, or having them after having declassified them at his Mar-a-Lago home. One point, if I could make, Larry, that what we're hearing is Democrats are saying, no, these two cases are completely different because Biden turned over the documents willingly, and Trump fought that. If Biden were treated the way that Trump's been treated by the media and his political opponents, I don't think he'd want to release them either.
Craig, a quarter of Democrats believe Biden ought to be impeached?
Well, actually, the question was, do you believe that President Biden has committed high crimes and misdemeanors worthy of impeachment? And you actually had a third of Democrats say yes, they think that he has, and 1 out of 5, 20%, strongly agree that Biden has committed these impeachable offenses.
Craig, what do you make of the fact that James Clyburn, without whose support Biden very likely would not have been nominated in 2020 rather? What do you make of the fact that he now says he's, quote, all in for Biden, even though Biden's numbers are at around 40%? I think about a point higher than his all-time low.
Well, I find that very curious, because there seems to be growing Democrat disapproval of Biden, or at least they appear more and more willing to hold him to account, at least regarding these documents. The big problem I see with Biden not running is who are you going to put up in his stead? And that holds true for the notion of impeaching Biden for high crimes and misdemeanors, because he has one of the best, I believe, security policies you could have in Kamala Harris. If you
now, Craig, let me just interrupt here for a second. Let me give you the elder theory on Kamala Harris and get your reaction, Craig. I believe you're right that her poll numbers are worse than his, and a rational person would not want her to be the next person up. That said, think about the early primary, especially South Carolina. 60%, Craig, of the Democrat voters are black. The majority of those are female. There was a poll in the LA Times that found that blacks at 70% approve of Kamala Harris. It wasn't broken down by gender, but I assure you, black women like her even more than black men do. And blacks haven't been trained that if they're mistreated, it's because of systemic racism. If she's drop kicked for somebody else, Craig, especially for a white male like Mayor Pete or Gavin Newsom, the black female voters, they won't vote Republican, they just won't vote, guaranteeing that whoever the Democrats nominate the Republicans nominate in 2024, he or she will win. Your take?
Well, personally, I think what may happen there, let me put it that way,
Right.
is that if you recall, with President Nixon, when there was pressure for him to resign,
Right.
first they had to get rid of his vice president, Spiro Agnew, and they found some scandal that they could use to force him out of office, because no one on either side of the aisle wanted Spiro Agnew as president.
Right.
I think the same thing holds here with Kamala Harris, is that you may start seeing more and more scandalous news about her from both her colleagues and the liberal media when it becomes more and more clear that that Biden, if it becomes more and more clear that Biden won't be running. They're not going to kick her out, but I think news will come forward that that will not reflect well on her.
Well, Craig, I'll bet you a quarter pounder, no cheese. If Biden can't make it to 2024, Kamala Harris is next person up.
Wow. Okay. You got that. That's with cheese.
Now, finally, let's talk about the latest news about documents found at Mike Pence's house. Has Mike Pence now thrown Joe Biden the lifeline?
Again, just very scant details about this. Apparently, one of Pence's lawyers stumbled across these. Again, bizarre coincidental timing. And this definitely, I think, helps Biden's case, softens the punishment, if there is any. A lot of times what you see, many times from Democrats, but also from Republicans, is, yeah, you caught me with this, but look what the other side did.
Exactly.
But we know nothing about this. I believe the story was first reported by CNN, which attributed anonymous sources. We saw during the 4 years of the Trump administration what liberal media's anonymous sources are worth.
How dare you suggest skepticism about the most trusted source in news? Craig, I'm looking for the bumper sticker that says honk if you're not carrying any classified documents. Craig Bannister, CNS News. Craig, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it. When we come back, 2 mass killings in California just days apart, and how Hollywood distorts the issue of guns and self-defense. Now, hit that like button because I know you like the show. Hit subscribe. And scroll down in the bottom and get on our mailing list to make sure you don't miss any of our vids. Because believe it or not, from time to time, apparently YouTube has issues with some of our videos. To make sure you don't miss anything, you got to get on our mailing list. And you see that big round donate button? Hit that, throw a little something in the tip jar. Make sure that you still can get our hard-hitting programming. And remember, Larry with Epoch.com, Larry with EPOCH.com.